Yo,
Yo, what's going on, bro?
good to see you again, man. Hope you had a good
Yeah,
fourth.
man. What
A little
number are
bit
we
about
at
what?
right now?
Um, Five.
Five? Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, this is
Cool, man.
Cinco plus the little sub series that we've been doing.
Yeah, they play off each other nicely. Yeah. All right, man. So let's dive into it. Today we're gonna be just chilling, chatting about dopamine. What is dopamine? I actually just had the thought that dope, like that, how like a lot of drugs are called dope. I don't even know if it's tied to a specific drug, but on the street, it's usually called dope. I think it's crack or maybe coke. Um, and maybe just how that, like dopamine's kind of like a drug. It's a physiological drug that we have inside of us. But seems like you know a little bit more about me as far as the science behind it. So, or at least what you've learned from, the people you're sharing before we got hopped on here about. So, yeah, dive in a little bit and tell us what you know about dopamine and its origin.
Yeah, man. So what I just quick recap on what you said. I think that's a good point about it being a drug. It's like it's something that is produced inside the body, but just like a lot of things in this world, we see some things that as they're not drugs. Like we even some people say that coffee or alcohol and things like that aren't a drug, but depending on the effect that it has on you, whether it's caught like a naturally grown substance or whether it's something that's synthesized or whether it's even made in your body, like it can be seen as a drug. Like so it's not a bad handle on it, and it definitely has a profound impact. So yeah, was I was doing a little bit of research as well on this. I was curious about the history. So it turns out that dopamine was not actually formally discovered until 1910, like isolated as a compound that's endogenous to the body, that's created inside the body. And it actually wasn't until the mid 1950s that Arvid Carlson, he actually won the Nobel Prize discovering that dopamine is a key neurotransmitter in the brain, that it's performing some heavyweight functions in the human experience. Like a lot of important things that are going on are tied to this chemical. There were some later breakthroughs in the 60s. It was actually found that dopamine has some effect on motor functions, and it was tied into a lot of research about Parkinson's disease and potential cures for it. And then in the 70s and 80s, the research continued, and there were a lot of findings about dopamine and substance abuse, how this chemical and the receptors in the brain play a role in substance abuse. But for anybody who's like our age or maybe even a little bit younger, most of us don't know that history. Like I researched a lot of that history because I was curious, but most of us still know what dopamine is. Almost everybody has heard of dopamine, and the reason is because in the last 20 or so odd years, these scientists like Kevin Huberman have been coming on podcasts like this. I saw him on the Tom Bilyeu Impact Theory. I saw him on that podcast once, and I mean, he talked for 3 hours about dopamine and how it plays such a critical role like in our daily lives. And there's a lot of guys out there just like him who are talking about this. People are really hip to this brain chemistry thing. Everybody wants to know like what is it? Like can I control it? Like how can I get a handle on this so I can use it to make my experience better. So yeah, it's a cool topic to talk about. I think it's everybody's kind of interested in this brain chemistry thing right now.
Yeah, so if we peel away the scientific layer of it, it makes so much sense, right? Like the human body has this molecule and this neurotransmitter that it's a reward system. So when you have something that's beneficial, I guess, in your life, or by nature, that's been designed by nature, like scavenging or hunting for food or growing food, whatever. There's a whole slew of lists we could come up with. Um, it makes sense that there is something inside of us that makes us feel good and drives motivation towards that end because it sustains life. So it's just so logical to think of that without the scientific nature behind it, without needing to know all the chemical structures and whatnot. And this is like more of a primal thing. It was what originated in us when we were, you know, living more simplistically. So nowadays we have false, I would call it like almost, yeah, false dopamine hits, false reward systems. There's plenty of them. Now, I don't know, do you know anything about maybe, or maybe you can infer, like, like for instance, social media. How does that initiate the dopamine reward system? I can, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's talk about that. So I've heard it called like the Moore molecule. That's what they call this molecule, and it seems to be an aptly fitting name because it seems that the way that dopamine works is it's mostly released when we're in anticipation of some kind of reward, of some kind of desired event. So it's not released when we actually achieve the thing so much as it is when we anticipate the thing. So like you were saying, it's that's what makes dopamine an excellent driver of productive action because that anticipation is what gets us up and going. It's not we achieve the thing and then we feel really good and we're sitting still. We're getting that dopamine hit when we're in the process, when we're anticipating some great thing to happen. So it's actually it's motivating, it's driving. And I think that the imbalance, the way chemical reaction has been hijacked, let's just talk about social media. The way it's been hijacked by social media is that it is an anticipation experience. You're scrolling on your phone and there's always a next thing. And that just primes that dopamine system, that the receptor, that whole loop in the central nervous system of like the dopamine being released and getting to the receptors, like because there's always an anticipation of the next cool thing that you're going to scroll to. So yeah, in a way, I think that, I mean, whether or not they were going strictly for dopamine or other brain chemistry stuff, I think that the the creators of social media have hijacked a line into that chemical system.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that. My angle was coming from the the one side of it is that the idea that when we see things on the phone or screen, it's a way of vicariously living through someone else's experience. So, I mean, this goes, when technology and screens got implemented into our lives, we basically are able to view a copy or a recording of an experience that was had not by us. Prior to screens, everything was directly experienced with our eyes in the three-dimensional worlds. So once the screens got brought into our life, it's changed something in our way of experiencing life. Um, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, that is like a super fundamental shift from you're not able to see like things happening outside of your experience. Like like before screens, like before technology, like you can talk to people and they can tell you about their experiences and stuff. But when you're able to like see somebody's experience, when you're able to look at their life unfolding on social media or like watch videos of what they're doing, then absolutely, yeah. It's like it's like watching a movie, like how you watch a movie and you get so invested in it that sometimes you feel like you're the main character. Then that's what, like, I do think that that experience has kind of been introduced into our lives as a result of having access to like social media and being able to see what all these strangers that we'll never meet, like what they're doing, how they're living and stuff. Yeah, it opens our brain up to a whole new way of looking at things that just wasn't there before.
Yeah, yeah. And so I would say that maybe the main problem with social media and the dopamine reward system is the endless amounts of content, the endless amount of the ability to consume. I mean, whenever has humanity experienced such a way of consuming that is simply endless? Like it's truly endless. And I can't really think of you know, any other way to kind of relate it to something else. Maybe what's coming to mind is water. If you're like next to a spring, springs kind of continuously run, but um, yeah, you know what I mean by that? It's just like just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And like you said, it's like you relate to one post out of whatever, 100 that triggers that dopamine system. And it's such a short-lived experience that it drops right off, and then it almost like causes a mild depression for a minute, and then it's just an addiction. I mean, that's what I'm seeing right now is like the dopamine is a pattern forming behavior. It's what it's designed to do. It's to ingrain these patterns that are theoretically supposed to be rewarding you.
Yeah, yeah, dude. That the endless part of it is super important. I think the fact that you can just continuously get those dopamine hits through this medium without having to go out and do anything, without having to like set your own goals and anticipate like a more real reward, like like doing something that has like more fruitfulness to it. But yeah, that's the point, is that the dopamine, that system is still working either way. It's kind of like a molecule doesn't know what the difference between if you're pursuing some goal that's healthy for you or good, or whether you're doing something that's actually like kind of mindless and kind of wasting your time. Like the
Yeah.
system is going to work either way. That's the dangerous thing, that we have to be careful what we're how we're programming our body, because these systems are, yeah, for sure, habit forming.
Yeah. So it seems like this is probably maybe the epicenter of like ADHD and like attention deficits, because the dopamine system seems to be what controls attention span, or it's to some degree has such a drastic impact on it. Um, when we're obviously with social media, it's a very immediate gratification, that an immediate hit of the dopamine that trains our brain to receive these hits in shorter and shorter time frames. And then we try to unconsciously apply that to other means of life that simply don't function in the same way. And that's how we get this society and human beings that are addicted to instant gratification and don't understand delayed gratification and working and putting in effort. I think it's a huge transition in society that's happening through this. And it coincidentally coincides with the advent of robots and, the replacement of human, interactions and places in society. So it's a big one. This is like actually massive, especially for like development of children. Like this is huge. This is a fundamental pillar in life.
Yeah, Yeah, it's been said that the ability to delay gratification is possibly the greatest predictor of success of any individual person. And I would be inclined to believe that. Like, if you want to accomplish anything worthwhile, you have to be able to delay gratification, because
Yeah.
it's the it's a very it's an ultimate cliche, right? Anything worth doing is worth putting in effort for. It's like necessarily difficult. If it's worth having, then it's not something that you can just have at your fingertips. But it's true. So yeah, having a this strong inclination to immediate gratification at every turn is really dangerous. So I had a bit of a Riverside issue there, but we're back. You're at the library in your in your car, making things work. So much appreciated. We're gonna finish this episode if it kills us. No, but while we were down for a minute, I was just looking over some of the notes, and there was something super fascinating that I wanted to talk about. It's directly related to this, and it leans into just how far the understanding of this dopamine thing has been taken by some of the actors, by people in businesses, and some of the actors in society. So there's this thing. You can tell me if you've heard of it or not. A variable ratio reinforcement schedule.
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's a conditioning principle. So psychologists, there were some famous psychologists that caught on to it, and it's kind of become a famous thing in the circle of psychologists. But it's a principle for conditioning people, for conditioning their behavior. So it's a principle where a behavior is rewarded after an unpredictable and varying number of attempts or like repeats of the behavior. And it's designed to establish a really steady rate of response and make behaviors basically habitual and hard to get rid of. So some of the core mechanics behind the idea are, again, it's unpredictable. So you don't know how many tries it's going to take, how many behaviors you have, or times you have to do the behavior before you get the reward. That's one thing. So it could happen on the first try, or it could take 10 tries for you to get the reward. And it's based on an average. So the people that are setting up the experiment, or in the case of like businesses and gambling houses, they're setting up, they put it on a ratio. So if it's a VR5, variable ratio 5, it means that it's an average of 5 attempts. You're going to get some kind of reward, like on a slot machine, a win. And that's the perfect real world example. Is this is actually exactly what the gambling houses do. The people who set up the slot machines, they are setting up the slot machines to work on this operant conditioning principle. And so a player is pulling the lever on the slot machine, and they win after a random, unpredictable number of attempts. But they understand that the next pull could be a winner, and that's the key thing about it. Is because it's unpredictable, they know that the next pull could be, and that just engages that cycle so deeply. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Isn't that
Yeah,
fascinating?
yeah, yeah.
That it's set up as like conditioning human behavior. Like it's set up to make people just want to keep pulling that thing.
Oh, so you're saying this is a modality to condition behavior based on the unpredictable nature of whatever activity they're engaging in
Yes, and it's designed to condition people to take continuous, repetitive behaviors.
because of well, I guess they're waiting for that hit, the dopamine hit.
And this is what we were talking about with social media. It's the same exact thing. So the autoplay and the scroll, or the pull to refresh,
Ah,
is the same. People are conditioned to do that because you never know when that pull to refresh is going to pull up something interesting.
wow.
So it's just
It's literally like
conditioning you.
a
Yeah.
revolving slot machine of just experiences of people's lives getting mirrored onto our phones.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And they say that it's the most powerful type of one of the most powerful types of reinforcement because the reward is always a surprise. So people don't there's no
So
pause in behavior after you get a reinforcement. Like you get the reinforcement from it, you see something cool, but then you just keep doing it. Like it's fascinating how it can condition behavior. It's kind of scary.
So my question would be, because I think I've found myself, and I think most people, it's not even that the dopamine is actually responding to things that are beneficial to us anymore. It's like we become addicted to things that aren't even serving us, that might even be negative. Have you come across anything along those lines or in your own experience of how that hit of dopamine, maybe it's something else, I don't know, but is actually in response to something that's negative to our lives or isn't serving us?
Dude, absolutely. I mean, I think I don't have a lot of personal experience with gambling. I do think that it's probably like the most low-hanging fruit and the easiest case in point is that even if a person is losing money like repeatedly and they're continuing to do it, they continue because of that dopamine cycle, because of how that pathway, that neural pathway has been infiltrated by that feeling of the next poll could be the one. So even though the actual quality of their experience is going down, like they're losing money, like this is a losing proposition. They're wasting time, they're losing money, so the quality of their life is going down, but that neural pathway just keeps them going because they're addicted to it. For me, yes, video games. That is definitely one for me because video games is basically a biological experience. That's what I've narrowed it down to. It's a dopamine thing, man. You're playing this game where there's these built-in rewards. There's no risk. You're just playing a video game, so you're doing things like for me, Call of Duty. I fucking love Call of Duty. And you're going around and you're having these battles and you're shooting people and they're shooting you and all these cool things are happening and it's dude, it's just that neural pathway of dopamine. Like you get a win, you get a reward, and especially like playing Warzone, it literally kind of like it runs a little bit on that principle because you never know if you're going to get a win and it feels great when you do, but then it just keeps you coming back for more because we could win this one. You know, me and my squad could be the guys flying away in the helicopter at the end of the match. So that is one for me, which ties into our Wild Wednesday thing, but that's another thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so for like gambling, I mean, it makes obvious sense, right? You get someone in there that wins good money one time in their life. That it just is a habitual pattern from there because they think they can get there again and again and again, or they could even rise above that dollar amount that they gained and win more next time. So I guess what I'm trying to get to in my own experience or try to maybe reveal for myself is that there seems to be triggers that actually tap into this dopamine response as well. It's not even like there is actually like some sort of potential, potentially beneficial outcome at the end of it. It's merely like a trigger that's hitting like a trauma or like hitting something inside of you that isn't serving you. But I mean, maybe subconsciously there's something to it where you think you'll experience, an opposite to that triggering event that actually will turn beneficial, if that makes sense at all. Um, but anyway, nonetheless, very fascinating, like super fascinating, tying the casino slot machines to social media and this like psychological framework that they've developed to to make people addicted to activities
Yeah.
to take these certain actions. Really fascinating.
Bro, and it even goes a step further because and it's part of that same operant conditioning principle that because you often go a successive number of attempts without getting a reward, it makes the habit harder to quit. People will go, they'll continue the activity long after they're getting a reward because that's part of the variable response, is that they're used to that. So it makes it very addictive. It makes it hard to quit even when someone feels like they're not getting something out of it. So, yeah, I would also like to add that after saying these, talking about these relatively negative dynamics and how the dopamine response has kind of been hijacked by some modern actors, that dopamine in itself is not a bad thing. It's an endogenous chemical to the body. It's something that's taking place. Like you said before, it's something that was a part of our lives when we were in a much more primitive condition. And some people might even say it's a fundamentally good thing because it drives us to take actions and pursue goals and such. But yeah, it's something that we gain power by understanding. It's not necessarily bad or good. It's just like understanding the mind. You know, the mind thinks thoughts are produced whether you want them to be produced or not, and you relate to that however you relate to that. Dopamine is produced. It's going to be produced one way or another, so understanding it can grant us a lot of power, just in the same way that understanding the thinking mind can grant us power, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, this knowledge only opens the door to being able to harness it in our own lives and use it for our benefit. So it comes with, there's a lot of talk around detox, like dopamine detox, actually pulling away from these reward systems that we've ingrained ourselves in and doing away with them for some time so we can reset that, our own internal clock of how and what is stimulating us to fulfill these actions to get that reward. So obviously the very simple, straightforward one that everyone's taking nowadays is getting off social media for an extended amount of time or using it in a highly conscious way, which is extremely hard because they've been switching around the layouts of the platforms. I don't know if you've recognized, like, over the past few months and years, they've been like just manipulating it and putting these,
Facebook has changed a lot. Yeah.
yes, putting feeds and the shorts as like the landing pages when you open the app, um, and
Yes.
making,
YouTube, same way. Shorts are first.
yeah.
Yes.
So it's like it's almost impossible to avoid the scrolling nature of social media. And once you're like I don't even know if there's, I mean, I know there's like third parties, or I should say like different companies and different entities that are making like alternatives for social media. And I think, didn't you share like a phone that came out?
Yeah, the Daylight Phone by Aaron Day. He's kind of a one man army. Him and his wife Aileen Day. They've been making technology kind of in a rebellion against technocracy, trying to. They made a Google free phone. They made one that only has like the bare minimum of functions that you need. It's pretty cool what they've done. I think they call it the Daylight Phone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it's gonna take mountains to move. It's gonna take moving mountains to get everyone transferred over onto something like that, but at least the initiation's happening. Um, so yeah, I mean, the first obvious place to start is to detox social media, to hop off of it, and to, when we get into a very conscious state throughout our days where our activities have intention behind them. So we kind of have that predetermined goal already set of like, we're doing X, Y, and Z to get to, that point that we've set for ourselves. Um, that is a way that we can easily establish that dopamine response again. by setting targets, setting goals, accomplishing them, and then that are aligned with our intentions.
Yeah. Yes. You like using dopamine in a positive
Yeah.
way, in a more natural, beneficial way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
Yeah. I'll go ahead.
it's just removing the unnecessary, unfulfilling activities such as social media that fills the void between our days and chops up the day, and micro experiences that doesn't actually offer us anything other than this internal chemical reaction that is only basically an illusion. It's a simulation. It's not a something that is actually being experienced in our physical reality, or I should say, like,
Yeah.
firsthand.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a big one. Getting away from from that is a great place to start. Of course, I know that there are other habitual things that a lot of us do. Things like for me, and maybe I've been like trending toward that in my life unconsciously, like kind of regulating my own dopamine system by going through a lot of like cutting things out. That's what I've been doing lately. I've never been too much on social media before. Most of the people I know are, and have talked to me about it. How they know that it's like not adding something to their lives. So yeah, of course, it's a good place to start to cut that.
Yeah. I mean, we can even see it with like caffeine or like food, like any sugary food. Like, that is the same system at play. Having anything, I think I heard this the other day, it's like anything that is almost instant can cause destruction so quick in this reward system. Anything that can create this instant gratification has the potential to cause destruction. Um, because
Yeah,
it's so, you don't have to do anything. It's just like, you don't have to harvest the coffee beans. You just have to drive yourself to the, I'm not saying coffee is entirely bad, but you just have to drive yourself to the cafe or whatever. It's in your kitchen. Just pour it into a Keurig. Everything's becoming so much easier. You're gonna have robots doing that for us. It's gonna be already made in the morning. Um, so yeah, and especially with automation nowadays, like doing things that you actually have to put effort and work into to get a result. I mean, optimization will be a part of society, and I think it's important that we continue to have an eye on that. We want to have a balance between making life enjoyable and not always treacherous, and just, you know, having to work our asses off 24/7, but recognizing that this system is what drives us to live. It's one of the systems that drives us to live. Nothing is more
yeah,
fulfilling than putting in, good, honest work into anything, and then having the finished product at the end of that to feel all the joy.
you well said, man. Yeah, I like to say that comfort and modern technology are a wave, and you can surf on that wave or you can drown in it. There, it can free up your time to do more productive things and take on more meaningful challenges instead of like having to engage in a lot of drudgery. But you can also drown in it. You can also just get addicted to the dopamine hits. Dude, and what you were saying, it keyed in on another fascinating thing that I had looked up, and I took a note on it. I was reading that because our brains evolved for a world of scarcity, then this constant barrage of digital novelty that we get, it actually causes the brain to adapt by reducing the amount of dopamine receptors that we have. So it causes a state where everyday tasks like working, reading, or hanging out with our friends, like off of social media, it actually starts to feel boring and stressful to us because we're used to that instant gratification. So then we need more screen time just to feel that baseline level of motivation. So then it drives us back to it. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah, it's
So
that.
why does the screen create more dopamine, you're saying? Or create you're saying it diminishes our dopamine receptors, but it also gives us more dopamine, you're saying?
Yeah, it seems like counterintuitive. It's like it takes away the amount of receptors that we have because we're getting this like constant barrage of it. Somehow, like you don't need as many receptors. So then in other activities where the dopamine, like it takes longer to get it, then you're not like receiving it. At least that's the idea behind what I was reading is that your receptors go down so that it's harder for your brain to like process and receive dopamine. So then the only way that you get it is through the instant gratification things. Like so then like it gets harder and more boring and stressful for you to wait for it while you're
Yeah.
doing those like more meaningful
Yeah.
tasks. Which yeah, it sounds incredibly pathological, and I think a lot of people are aware of that. But
Yeah.
isn't that
It
fascinating?
is. I mean,
I mean,
that's where it chops up our attention span, and
yeah,
that's how I guess we cannot maybe produce the dopamine as much in those more slow-paced, maybe mundane looking tasks or hanging out with friends or something simple. Doesn't have the rush all the time that the phone can bring. Yeah, it's
yeah.
really fascinating. So now I guess we live in this time period where the greatest question is going to be reversal of this, because this is not bringing us anywhere fucking good. I mean, I gotta remember, there's a very fascinating Super Bowl commercial. I think it's a Super Bowl commercial from like 2012. And this gets into more of like I don't want to go too dark with it, but it's like, these are things that we should pay attention to, right? Um, there's a lot of subconscious and subliminal messages out there that penetrates our subconscious. I'm gonna send it to you. I forget the actor. Do you remember there was so like in the past few years there was an actor on a set that shot someone by accident with like a prop gun and somehow there was a bullet in it. You remember that?
Will Shatner, I believe.
What was
Yeah,
it?
I think it was Will Shatner. Yeah.
Was it? Does he have a brother?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it was him because he has a brother and they actually well, they have a house not too far from me in New York. Um,
No, it was Alec
Alec
Baldwin.
Baldwin.
But
Yeah, Alec Baldwin. Yeah. So there's
Will Shatner, Alec Baldwin. I should have looked it
dude,
up before I said
type
that.
in, type in Alec Baldwin, like Super Bowl commercial or something. Maybe you can share it on your screen.
So the first thing that came up was Alec Baldwin 2009 Super Bowl commercial, and it's got him as a secret
Yeah.
alien. Is
Yeah.
that?
I think
Can
that's it.
I?
Share it. Can you share it on the screen?
Yeah, hold up. There's
Let's see if this is it.
yeah, it's a 1 minute commercial. So let me just share. Hopefully, there's not a problem sharing video. Share. Can you see that?
Uh,
I'm gonna play it. Okay, it's a 1 minute.
yeah.
Here we go.
Hello, Earth. I'm Alec Baldwin, TV star. They say TV will rot your brain. That's absurd. TV only softens the brain like a ripe banana. To take it all the way, you've created Hulu. Hulu beams TV directly to your portable computing devices, giving you more of these cerebral gelatinizing shows you want anytime, anywhere, for free. I only hang out because I want you alone. Get on my mushy mush. And the best part is, there's nothing you can do to stop it. I mean, what are you going to do? Turn off your TV and your computer? Once your brains are reduced to a cottage shade like mush, we'll scoop them out with a melon bowler and gobble them right on up. Oops. I think I'm drooling a little. Because we're aliens. And that's how we roll. Hulu, an evil plot to destroy the world. Enjoy.
Good Lord. Oh my gosh.
I
That
forgot
is
I
wild.
forgot how like blatant that one is, but it ties into what we're talking about, and it just what's popped into my mind, but it basically kind of describes how this turns our brains into mush and makes us incapable, you know?
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Again, delayed gratification is a necessary part of achieving worthwhile things, good relationships, and a fit body, and a successful career. At some point in all of those endeavors, at many points, you have to delay gratification. And things that take away our ability to do that are not helping us, not doing us any favors.
Yeah. Yeah. And you gotta stop. People have to stop stimulating themselves 24/7 with the phone in the downtimes. That has been something that I've ebbed and flowed through, and I'm in a point right now where I'm returning back to that space and recognizing how vital it is. Because as we talk about this, it's just making it so much more clear, and it's a remembrance for me of how when I have downtime, I will go on social media or something, and it's simply because there's something in the past that stimulated on me on there, and it might be something great, like a beautiful video or whatever it is, a powerful quote. But then I just keep on playing the slot machine. I keep on letting that thing roll until I get to another one. And it's like, oh, I feel good again. And then boom, boom, boom. And then it just keeps going. But it's like, dude, what is that offering you? Are you retaining any of it? Are you applying any of it? Are you experiencing any of it in in your life? So it's, yeah, removing that stimulus, that constant 24/7 stimulus, I think is going to help us restructure our brains and reframe this thing, because if we don't, our brains are going to turn to mush.
And then Alec Baldwin is going to gobble them up.
Laugh about that
That's how
and
it's all
also
going to
learn
end,
about
man.
it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably the end of this episode. Any closing comments?
I'm going to go get a workout in the rain now.
Get it, man. All right, we'll be back on Wednesday with another episode, and in the soon to be updated Wild Wednesdays, we finally come up with a better name for that. So to be
Yes,
unveiled
sir.
shortly.
All right, bro. I'll see you soon.
See you.